Hello friends, I want to share a video of Russians being arrested for bringing flowers on the 10th anniversary of Boris Nemtsov's assassination near the Kremlin. For those who don't know, he was one of Russia's most prominent politicians, a strong advocate for democracy and freedom, and a fierce critic of Putin, someone who could openly say to a journalist,
Он ебнутый Владимир Путин, чтобы вы поняли. Понятно, да?
Я хожу каждый год сюда,
А зачем?
потому что уважаю этого человека. Считаю его убийство огромной потерей для страны.
Вам не страшно приходить?
Нет.
Here are a few facts about Boris and why Putin feared him. Nemtsov was one of the most prominent critics of the government, exposing corruption and speaking out against the war in Ukraine that began in 2014. Just weeks before his murder, he was preparing a report on the presence of Russian troops in that war, something obvious today, but in 2015, it would have been an undeniable sensation.
Что там такое? Да не надо так проходить, уважаемый. Уважаемый, давайте проходим. Либо вперед, либо назад, давайте.
Our wonderful police, checking documents, recording people's names, and forbidding them from standing still, because democracy can't afford pauses. As they say, in Russia, you're free to move in any direction, except toward realizing what's actually going on. The funniest part? Their salaries come from the taxes of these very people. Shame on the cops.
Это палачи. Палачи. Но все равно на могилу Лёша Навального много пришло ребят. Ничего страшного. Самое главное, что память жива, и мы их не забудем. И будем восхищаться и держаться их, а не вот этих вот уродов.
Only thieves and corrupt officials can fear a dead man, his grave, his memory, his name. But this woman is real strength. As long as people like her exist, memory cannot be erased, fear will not prevail, and respect will belong to those who fought, not to those hiding behind helmets and batons. I fully agree about the goons, but I also know that lists are being kept. One day, there will be trials, just like for the fascists in 1945.
Позор России за вот это ее поведение. Вот позор. Другого нет. Румяный, здоровый, толстый. А я обратила внимание с Красной площади, что мало народу в этом году. Я каждый год прихожу. Конечно, всего доброго, и мы все равно будем бороться. Мы будем бороться. Мы пока глубинное государство, но мы будем бороться. Мы ненавидим этот режим и вот этих вот вертухаев.
Deepest respect for this woman. Once again, she said everything clearly and to the point. Unfortunately, the vast majority of people her age are completely poisoned by television. When the state pours the same lies into people's ears for 20 years, spending billions on propaganda, it's hard not to watch and not to believe, especially when this brainwashing is perfectly paired with repression and the fear of spending your youth or an unhealthy old age behind bars where anything can be done to you. Damn, just look at these heroes. Took 2 of them to handle a girl. So brave that one even hides his face. Friends, remind me, in what other country is honoring the memory of a murdered man banned this fiercely? This is absurd. Not a country, but a high-security prison. Remembering and honoring worthy Russian citizens is forbidden, but destroying Russian culture and history, well, that's the West's fault, of course. A unique special offer, today only, packing up the people's memory into a garbage bag absolutely free of charge. My God, what a disgrace, they're even afraid of flowers. What kind of country is this? Maybe as a child, Putin gave a girl a bouquet, but she was never into dwarfs. Or perhaps a florist once told him that even funeral wreaths would be in short supply for him. The great Soviet dissident Valeria Novodvorskaya put it perfectly about Putin. A KGB enforcer cannot build a rule of law state. A KGB enforcer can only build a prison camp.
Ну, как все говорят, взрослые особенно, мы должны чтить своих героев. Я считаю его героем. И пусть даже сегодня я приехала одна, я этим жестом чувствую, что вокруг меня все-таки есть люди, возможно, даже незнакомые, но все-таки люди, которые считают точно так же, и мне это очень ценно, очень помогает двигаться дальше.
А вы не боитесь приходить сюда?
Бывает страшно, но я учу Конституцию, и пусть это иногда бывает очень смешно, когда читаешь особенно вторую главу, смотришь на то, что вот есть как бы правила, по которым мы должны двигаться, а в итоге эти правила очень разрушаются на твоих глазах. Страшно, да, но как будто бы даже если что-то случится, то я готова к этому. У меня всегда с собой пауэрбанк, всегда с собой книжечка, всегда с собой шоколадка, и всегда предупреждаю своих родных и близких, что если со мной что-то случится, ну, думаю, вы меня найдете, если что. Вот. И всякие такие меры безопасности всегда при мне.
Как вы думаете, какой бы могла быть Россия, если бы Немцов был жив?
Очень тяжело сказать. Мне кажется, это такая же история, как что было бы, если бы Навальный вышел из тюрьмы, если бы он выжил, все такое. Возможно, все пошло бы по-другому.
How incredible are women like her, young, beautiful, and yet with such strength of spirit that you can't help but fall in love at first sight. In a country where flowers are a threat to the state, where the Constitution is a joke, and justice exists only on paper, she not only comes but prepares for everything. A power bank, a book, a chocolate bar. This is what freedom in Russia is measured by now. Not by rights, not by the law, but by readiness for arrest. And the most striking thing, she speaks about it calmly, without pathos, as if it's just normal, because it is. The government has pushed people into a reality where safety isn't a right, but a survival strategy. Yet even in this reality, despite the fear, she comes, she honors the memory, she knows she is not alone. And this is the regime's greatest fear, not the flowers, not the candles, not the words, but the fact that people, even strangers, think the same way. And one day, they won't just bring flowers, they will bring change. Once again, just like that young woman, these two are now interacting with the police. Moscow can sleep soundly. Russia's greatest enemies have been detained. It's always infuriating how they try to snatch passports from people's hands. Everyone knows it's not necessary. You can check the data without taking it. But when you're facing an arrogant man with a gun who knows that in Russia there's only one law, be loyal to Putin, the passport almost always ends up in their hands. And from that moment on, everything depends on the officer's mood. Without your passport, you're not going anywhere.
А можно у вас небольшой комментарий взять? А у вас документы проверяли? Что вам сказали?
Да, куда сюда? Просто подошли, спросили документы. К нам вообще подошел поздороваться какой-то человек, мы его не знаем. И нас спросили: вы знаете этого человека? Мы такие: нет, мы не знаем, вообще ничего не знаем. Вот, просто проверили паспорт, и все.
А предостережение какое-нибудь не выдавали?
Нет, они вообще ничего не сказали, просто сказали, вот, типа, человека убили 10 лет назад, годовщина.
Чеченец какой-то, да?
Да, типа, чеченец застрелил, вот. Мы говорим, какой ужас. Они нам говорят, я спрашиваю, а что с чеченцем-то? Они говорят, оправдали. Вот такая жизнь у нас.
Это, получается, сотрудники полиции вам сказали.
Да, это все сотрудники полиции нам сказали.
То есть они как бы благостно настроены,
Они
доброжелательно.
пытались, да, поймать пацана.
Да, ну, они еще плохого не сказали, то есть какой-то агрессии с их стороны не было. Вот, что я заметила. Ну, мне кажется, это лицемерие.
A beautiful moment when even the police don't really bother hiding what kind of country they work for. Yeah, a man was killed, a Chechen shot him, he was acquitted, just life, said in such a casual tone as if they were talking about a delayed bus, not the assassination of a politician in the heart of the capital. But the most interesting part is this fine balance between we're just checking documents and the clear intent to catch people on something, not to arrest them outright, not to cause a scene, but to trap them. Maybe they'll say something wrong, maybe they'll slip up, maybe they'll show an emotion that can be interpreted the wrong way, and that eternal Russian hypocrisy, politeness on the surface, control underneath, no words of aggression, yet you still know. If needed, you'll end up in a police van with no issue. And even if you don't, the very fact that every interaction with the police in Russia feels like an interrogation says enough. We've come to this. The government no longer fears people. It fears a place. Street workers clear away flowers, just like in 1984, where inconvenient history was erased page by page. History is whatever they manage to wipe out before sunrise, and the workers don't care whether they're cleaning up trash or memory. If ordered to paint over the sun, they'd simply ask, "Where's the paint?" Well, thank you, police, for at least not beating her up. Much appreciated. It's true. Fewer and fewer people come to this place every year, but I can't help but feel proud of those who still show up, who refuse to let fear erase memory. Friends, what do you think? If so few people come, does it mean that Russians are simply enduring and truly deserve this government?
Я член партии «Парнас» с 22 июня 2012 года. И знал лично Бориса Ефимовича Немцова. И был членом избирательной комиссии с правом решающего голоса. Мне 81 год. Поэтому я имею полное право защищать свои права как гражданина Российской Федерации. Любым способом, доступным.
Заходим в сторону остановки или следуем дальше по мосту.
Так мост закрываться будет. Мост. Куда или спецоперация?
Gotta love these brave cops. A special operation on the bridge. Clearly, the biggest threat to national security. Grandmothers with flowers and students in glasses with chocolate bars. For some reason, they prefer not to fight drug trafficking. But when it comes to students and pensioners, they bring out the megaphones and go all in. And yet, despite this ridiculous spectacle, people still come, still speak on camera, still explain why this matters to them. That takes real courage. Rest in peace to a man who never bowed, never kneeled. His legacy lives on, no matter how hard they try to erase his name from history. Friends, thanks for watching. A special thanks to my sponsors on YouTube and Patreon. Your support helps me create content consistently. If you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a member for just $3 a month. Patreon is preferred since it has much lower fees. For those who'd like to make a one-time donation, you can use Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a comment and hit the like button. It really helps with the algorithm. See you in the next one.